I am so grateful and I have no regrets for quitting my job at all. Like none. Hi, I'm Rita of Reflective Revival, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about how I recently quit my job without a backup plan and what gave me the courage to do so. So if you're curious or if you may find this helpful, please keep on watching. It was my first role out of college. It was an entry-level position at this nonprofit organization where the whole purpose of this nonprofit is to connect socially innovative leaders and emerging leaders around social impact, how to create that in their workspace, or how to give them the resources to kickstart into that space. So social impact is such a broad umbrella term for things like diversity, inclusion, and equity work, circular economy work, corporate social responsibility. So that is like a huge umbrella term for kind of what I was involved in. And I had graduated in spring 2019 with a degree in economics and a minor in statistics. I done major interdisciplinary coursework in environmental studies. Coming out of college is I wanted to make sure that I was going to be working for an organization where I just saw a lot of investment in my professional growth. Being that that was my first role out of college, I knew I was going to be green in a lot of things. And so when I got the offer with this organization, I was so excited because I knew I was going to be working with a smaller team, because in a nonprofit, I'm not only wearing one hat, I'm wearing multiple hats. And so the team that I was working with was small but mighty and very cross-functional. Like, we were all involved in some way with each other's projects, which was such a blessing because I got so much exposure in just the different aspects of how a nonprofit works, how our organization works. But most importantly, I think what also got me to take the offer was because I just saw that my manager just seemed like an amazing manager that was going to help me grow. And so this is to put out a disclaimer that I did not quit my job in any way because of any negativity from the organization. I am so grateful, and this was the best first job I could ever ask for from an organization and just out of college. And so yeah, I just want to put that out there that it wasn't a bad reason why I quit my job. It was because I realized that I was kind of growing out of it, or just learning that there was more that I wanted to get into that I couldn't otherwise get into in my current job. That I already felt like I understood my role and what it could grow into. And I wanted to kind of pivot and go into something more specific, because as I mentioned, working in a nonprofit, you wear multiple hats. And that doesn't mean that I'm never going to work at a nonprofit. It just means that I wanted to make sure that I was putting a little bit more time and energy as part of my career growth in something that I actually really wanted to grow more into. But before I go into that question of how I know I was even ready to start consider quitting, I do want to say I had this job for the bulk of 2020. I had this role for a good year, almost year and a half. And so I had just such a blessing to be working for an organization where I still had a job during COVID, and I was able to work in a safe environment because I was able to work from home. So I want to put a disclaimer out there that I'm so grateful for this job. And the experience I gained from it, but also just the amazing family that I had in that organization. Like I said, I didn't leave for any reasons on the organization's part, work environment or anything like that. I left for a lot of personal reasons. And then I just want to say I'm super blessed to even have had a job during COVID. And so making the decision to leave a very secure job during a time of COVID with no backup plan was a huge decision on my end. It was really when I realized, as this was my first job out of college, and I had internships before that, and of course I worked part-time while I was going to school. You know, the thing about those previous roles that I had prior to this one was that I always knew that there was an end date. Like, I always knew that, okay, this is gonna end by the end of summer, this is gonna end at the end of 10 weeks. I just felt like I didn't develop a good habit of how to set professional work boundaries so that I had like a good work-life balance. And I think that was a lot of growing in my part that I had to learn. And so I realized that I started really feeling drained in my job. And to sum it up, I was a yes girl. Like, anytime someone had anything to wanted to run an idea through me, had a quick task for me to get done for them, I was like, yes. And my word is my promise, meaning if I say yes to you, I'm gonna get that thing that I promised to do for you, or that I said yes to do for you, like timely, like as fast as I can. And that was my problem, was like I just felt like I was piling my plate with an already full plate. And I'm so grateful because my manager really helped me just say like, hey, let me know when you just think that this is not going to get done through you, or you won't have time for this, and you know, it's not priority right now. So I think I'm really grateful for that. But I think at some point I realized that the task that I was doing felt draining, like felt more tedious than it was exciting to do, if that makes sense. Like exciting to do, where I was getting it done quicker, I was excited to learn, I was just excited to like just get it done. And I'm gonna say any job will have that, and you could love your job, but there's always gonna be something about your job that you may just like find a little tedious or even annoying or repetitive, whatever it is, right? But I just felt that I was doing that almost day to day. And the thing is I just felt like that was the role that I was hired to do. So it wasn't something that I saw myself quickly transitioning out of. Even if I asked my manager about it, I realized that work-life balance is everything, especially in the pandemic when I just necessarily couldn't keep taking things on my plate. And I did learn coping ways and like, of course, the right ways to like deal with those situations. But that progressed to me knowing that I just didn't really think that this job was for me. And so this is when I started watching YouTube videos about how to quit, because like I said, it's like every role I had was like, it was a set like time frame. Like I knew when I was gonna end this time with the organization. I started really digging deep and seeing, okay, like let's think about what are ways I can fix the things that are not giving me a healthy work-life balance. Because I will be really frank as well to say that I was just really all over the place, like health-wise, with not having a good work-life balance. I wasn't sleeping well, I wasn't eating well, I didn't have a lot of motivation to do a lot of things, I was breaking out, my weight was not fluctuating like crazy, but there were days where it's just like, it felt like I just didn't want to get out of bed. And so that could have been depression or burnt out. So what I did after I knew I was considering even quitting was I started to just like see, okay, what can I be doing? I started incorporating more mini breaks into my day, especially the fact that I was working from home. And again, I was staring at a screen, and you need to remember to always blink like every 20 seconds, right? Then I started seeing a career coach to just break down like, okay, like what are your big dreams, and like what are your hopes, and like, you know, is this role like helping you even get there? And it was, but it wasn't necessarily getting me to like my dreams. And then I also started seeing a therapist. You know, I also wanted to make sure that my mental health was okay. I was living away from family and not being able to really hang out with friends during the pandemic, so that also like affected just like my well-being as well, of just like feeling like me and having a little bit more breathing room besides of like, oh my gosh, there's this project, or oh my gosh, I have this meeting. So I did all those things before I was like, okay, it's time to throw in the towel. And I actually did these steps for a good 3 months before I decided, okay, like it's time to like write this resignation. And after watching these videos, these are the questions that I've reflected on, and it's what tasks give me energy, what tasks drain me, and which tasks am I spending more time doing. So I had to evaluate that, particularly in the work that I was doing. And then I also had to evaluate, like, is there still room for me to grow and learn in my current role? Another question is, did I want my manager's job or see a long-term path with this organization? And then finally, is this a problem that I continually want to solve? These were so critical, just for me to evaluate objectively in my job, so that, well, as objective as I can, because a lot of these questions are subjective. And so once I've taken the time to reflect on these questions, that was when I knew it was time to just call it quits, to just say it's time for me to just move on. It was really scary, I'm gonna be really honest, because I didn't want to come off as unappreciative, as someone who's unhappy, so unhappy. But I think what gave me the courage is my faith in God, knowing that I was doing the things that I was doing, or being in a certain situation that I was in at the time, for a reason. And so I felt that was my big motivating factor. I think 2020 was a really hard year for me, but what gave me so much perspective was my faith in knowing that I'm so blessed to be healthy, to be safe, to have all the resources to be healthy and safe, that I can no longer make an excuse to say I need this to survive. I made sure that I had the financial means to actually make this decision as well, because like I said, I had no backup. And at the time, I just knew I needed a break. I needed space for me to even figure out what my next move is going to be, and what role exactly excites me that I even want to be doing. Because I was burnt out, jumping into another role right after quitting wasn't something I was interested in right away. I wanted to make sure I had time to be happy again with myself, and again strengthen my faith in God. And I think also I would remember at the time that what gave me so much courage was just it felt at some point in my last few months, or maybe my last few weeks even, that I was working at that job, I just felt I remembered how drained I was, physically drained I was. I remember I would just close my laptop and I was crawling to bed. I'm not even exaggerating. I was getting the chills, I was getting severe headaches, I didn't even want to eat. It was bad. It was really, really bad. When I looked at myself in the mirror, I wasn't happy with the version I was seeing of myself. Physically I was exhausted, I was burnt out, but mentally I wasn't even in a good space. And even talking to my therapist, I came to the conclusion that I needed to make the change, and that was to quit my job. So I wrote down the 3 things that were giving me anxiety in quitting this job, and what can I do? Maybe not pros and cons, but problem and solution. What's the problem that I'm seeing with quitting my job, and what's the solution, right? And so I learned this from her name, but I'm gonna put her name down here somewhere, but also her video is gonna be down there. But she mentioned this in her video, and I had to think about it as well. But the one problem was paying rent. Now, Bay Area rent is insane in itself, and I was living in a pretty affordable situation. It's just, if I quit my job, all my money would be, all my savings I should say for the month would be going to rent. So the solution was to move back home, which I wasn't opposed to because I was excited for it. And I would still be paying rent, but it would be much lower, and I would actually be closer to family. The second is not finding a job. And so I was if I don't find a job, then I'm gonna try to find a transitional job, kind of to survive job. So whatever that is, I'll give myself 2 to 3 months to find a transitional job. And then again, the third thing was social anxiety, like what people are gonna say, how am I gonna have to explain it? And the solution was I didn't even have to explain at all. Like, it's none of their business. They're not feeding me, they're not paying my rent, and I'm not seeing their face when I look at the mirror, so it's not really my problem what they think and what they feel about it, because it's not their life, it's mine. Here I am at a better like mental space to say that I am so grateful, and I have no regrets for quitting my job at all. Like, none. You know, I still don't have a job waiting in the wings, but I'm so much happier. I was able to put in my 2 weeks notice. I was able to just let this journey happen for me of being this new space of like, okay, I have so much freedom now, like what do I do with myself? So that pretty much ends this video then. And so if you found this helpful, please let me know by either commenting or even liking. I don't even know what the purpose of those two things are, but just to get some engagement and interaction in this video, I highly want to encourage that. But otherwise, I'll catch you in my next video. And if you want to see more videos like this around career, around just being like super open and vulnerable, let me know. But that's all for today, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye.